Hello and welcome to India Today. I am Sanjay Ponnappa.
And this is Maruthi Acharya, and we just completed watching one of the most anticipated and controversial in recent times. I am talking about Janaki V versus State of Kerala film starring Suresh Gopi
Yes.
and directed by Pravin Narayanan. Before getting into further details, Sanjay, how was your experience of watching the film in one line?
The film has a really good story, but it gets bogged down by some bad direction choices, some bad acting notches. I'll explain later about it.
The film has full potential to be a proper hard-hitting slash commercial flick if decided to go either ways. When it is doing a commercial sequence, it really works. When it is doing a very intense, emotional courtroom sequences, some of the court sequences were really good. So as individual set pieces and sequences, they really work. When you put everything together as a movie is when the movie kind of loses its balance.
So the film talks about many sensitive themes like sexual abuse and several other issues that
Correct.
revolve around it. Here in this particular film, Janaki is played by Anupama Parameswaran, who goes through certain experiences which ends up in the court. How does a lawyer like Suresh
Correct.
Gopi's character, Advocate Donovan, how does he get into the picture and what all happens there? It is actually in a way a whodunit because you don't really know who the perp actually is. There are characters, there are misdirections. It's a really nice suspense drama film. While there is so much to offer in the paper, when it came to execution, I feel like the director somehow got diluted with his initial idea and it went all the other places where it should not have. For example, integration of the very massy elements. It should either be Pink or it should be Vakil Saab. This film somehow got mixed in between, trying to be both. Something which also to an extent which happened with Vetayan as well, and that kind of takes back from the whole experience. Another thing that was added which I didn't really like how it came out in the film is the social messaging. Everything that was being spoken about at the very end never really was communicated as a problem throughout the film. Throughout the film, it was all about the case.
Correct.
So, at the very end, when it suddenly became a social message point, I kind of felt like, okay, it is a really good message. But when talking about the film, was it necessary is a question that I left the theatre with.
The things that really worked for me in the film, firstly, like Sanjay mentioned, the writing, way the set pieces were written, the build up, the arc that every scene individually follows was really, really good. The scenes which actually carry the interest and attention of the audience about what is happening, what is the proceedings, were really, really good. And the interval bang, the way the case was going, twists and turns and how it went is something that I was really, really impressed. Again, that was on the writing table, but when it comes to the direction side of it, there are some flaws which could have been avoided easily.
I really like Anupama Parameswaran's performance in this film. She really communicated whatever the character was going through very
Agreed.
efficiently. You could connect with her pain, you could connect with her frustration, you could connect with the case subsequently because of all of this. So her and several other characters around, everybody had a good performance. The only thing that didn't match up here is I don't think there was proper communication between the notch of acting, right? So there are different notches of acting as far as I know, where based on the kind of story that is being presented, the way the characters, behave is also there. So for a very niche, simple story, there is ground realistic acting.
Correct.
When it is somewhat in a hyperbole state and then the energy is different. So in the story, I felt like more often than not when Suresh Gopi used to come on the screen and the way his presentation of the
Correct.
case or dialogues or whatnot, it was on a different energy level than all the other characters in the film. So there was a absolute imbalance. Like he mentioned at the start, that is the biggest point of imbalance in the film for me.
I would put it this way, for me, Suresh Gopi has done a lot of performances like this, but especially talking about this film in particular, there's a very thin line between a exaggerated performance which we usually see in a commercial film or a commercial template. I'm not discrediting that performance. It takes a lot for any actor. Usually we actually kind of talk a lot about how that kind of performance usually get discredited in terms of intense performance, but I feel like this film needed a more intense performance rather than an exaggerated commercial performance, especially considering it is 2025. The sensibilities have kind of changed. We have appreciated those kind of movies where hero is going on his big monologue, with this kind of exaggerated. The dialogues feel a little written than organic. So we have encouraged that, but in this setup with this movie, it kind of didn't work for me. And also, again, the intense sequence also, right? If a lot of Tamil movies where this happens, it's not just the main character, the whole intensity of the room is such that every performance is a little exaggerated, so it kind of makes sense. Okay, this is what the director wanted to show. But with this movie, all the other performances are subtle, grounded. Only Suresh Gopi's character stands out, not in the right way as envisioned. So that is one thing which was sticking out of the film for me as well. I personally feel like the movie lacks mainly on direction because, for example, again, mild spoilers, this setup scene, there's a political situation happening and Suresh Gopi's character is introduced as the lawyer who's taking sides, and there's a discussion between a church bishop, right? So that scene is supposed to be a introduction scene to the character and establishment, but the way the scene is treated, it feels like it is a opening scene and the case is going to be about, the movie is going to be about that case. So it is more on the lines of how the scene was handled.
Yeah.
So I am taking this as an example. Lot of scenes suddenly, like there's a big fight sequence that is happening in the end. It is very evident that it is to cater to the mass hero, commercial hero appeal that Suresh Gopi carries. I have no problem with that, but how you derive to that scene and how are you taking audience in that journey and making me believe that yes, this is needed is something that is really, really important. When that scene comes again, that is when it is. I have this problem with the film Leo also. The second half after Leoda's entry, everything happens so quick, so suddenly, the plot points are revealed, everything happens so suddenly, you don't have enough information or time to process all of it. And when it suddenly switches to a fight sequence, so when you're revealing something big, you need time to process, you need to establish all the other characters and their intentions and then get to it. And that to such a sudden jump, the movie is going in a different pace and that fight scene is playing in a different space altogether. So these kind of choices of having clarity about which scene is what and when to come is something that I feel was missing in the film.
Several plot holes in the film which were just conveniently answered.
Yeah.
There are establishing factors, there is misdirection, but that misdirection is just left as a direction and then nothing is answered there. Fine, we can let it go. It is an open-ended question, fine. But then there are certain places where to just close the loopholes, there have been some convenient answers.
Correct.
Which aren't really digestible. Given credit to the story that is being built, little things which matter a lot are given a very convenient approach that kind of brings down the effectiveness of the film. While talking about the themes and topics that was discussed in the film, by the end of it, these are really sensitive issues and something important that everybody needs to think about. It is subjective what the takeaways is going to be.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, it is a topic that everybody needs to think about. If you are thinking of going and watching this film after the trailer, do go to the theaters, watch it, give it a watch. Maybe your experience is different. Come back and let us know in the comment section below what you felt about the film.
Like he mentioned about Vetai, and also that is one such example where TJ Gnanvel's idea and the themes that he was discussing in the film were really, really good. And in the first half, I was really liking the execution also. But again, when it comes to star-led films, right, with Rajnikant being in the forefront, there are some amount of compromises being made. See, I come from this school of thought where, again, these kind of subjects should be actually discussed with big stars so that it will have a wider reach and the conversations will happen more. So that is something that I really promote, support and endorse. But when it comes to this film, again, I would expect the conversation should be open and make it a commercial film. That's why I really like Tudarum. They didn't go overboard. They wanted a commercial film so that people will come and enjoy. And when they go back, they will definitely have things to talk about, reflect, think. So that is the space I would actually prefer these commercial films to be, rather than trying to be both and end up being none. That's it for this review. Hope you liked it. Whatever is your opinion, please do mention that in the comments below. And we do reviews, reactions, analysis. We interview people also. A lot of content on the channel. Don't miss to check any of that as well.
With that, I am Sanjay Ponnappa.
And this is Maruthi Acharya.
And you're watching India Today.